One day, a young man named Thomas wakes up and finds himself in a lift. When the lift stops, he's pulled out by a group of young people he doesn't know. Feeling threatened, Thomas tries to escape but falls and gets caught.
Hey, we gotta run!
You're not gonna...
Soon after, Albie, the leader of the group, decides to let him go. At that moment, Thomas reveals that he can't remember anything about his life before arriving there. It turns out that Albie's group also has the same memory loss. Albie then explains to Thomas about their community life in a place called the Glade. There, they work together to build homes and manage farms to meet their needs in the Glade. The lift is used to send supplies and new arrivals each month, and Thomas is the new arrival for this month. Albie also explains 3 rules he made to keep order. The rules include helping each other, doing assigned tasks, and most importantly, not entering the area beyond the large wall surrounding the Glade. Thomas wonders why some members return from the Forbidden's area. From Chuck, Thomas learns that beyond the Glade's wall is a maze that only the runners are allowed to enter.
What, you just...
Not now.
Whoa! You can't just keep me here.
Can't let you leave.
Why?
You leave. Welcome to the Glade.
That night, Newt, the group's deputy leader, gives Thomas more details about the runners and the maze. Runners are members with great strength and speed who explore the maze and map the area to find a way out of the Glade. Thomas realizes that he and Albie's group are actually trapped in the Glade. Newt also explains that the walls separating the Glade and the maze open automatically each morning and close at night. Strangely, the maze changes shape every night, and dangerous creatures called grievers roam inside. That's why only runners are allowed in the maze.
No, come on.
He's the keeper of the slices. They spend most of their time banned. Get chosen.
Get chosen by...
Huh?
Greenie! All right. The rules try to last more than 5 seconds. Come on, Greenie.
Stop calling me Greenie.
Stop.
Thomas. Hey!
Come on!
Welcome home, Thomas.
Good job. It was a griever. Nothing gets through the...
The next day, Thomas starts his task of collecting fertilizer in the Glade's forest area. When he arrives there, Thomas is suddenly attacked by a runner named Ben. After Thomas manages to defeat Ben, Albie's group realizes that Ben has been infected with poison from a griever sting. Thomas is then told that the infection makes its victims aggressive and speak incoherently.
I saw you. I'll kill you!
No, what the hell happened? You just attacked... In the middle of the day? Everybody help!
No, no!
Albie decides to throw Ben into the maze to keep him from harming the group.
Ben!
The next day, Albie and the runner team go into the maze to look for Ben. When Albie and his team don't return after a few hours, the group starts to worry. Driven by curiosity, Thomas, now a group member, bravely enters the maze even though he's not a runner.
Make it back or they don't.
Wait, no, something.
Inside, he finds Minho carrying the unconscious Elby. It turns out Minho had knocked Elby out because Elby was infected with Griever poison. As they try to secure Elby, Thomas and Minho hear a Griever approaching. Minho runs away first to save himself, while Thomas waits until Elby is safe before fleeing. Soon, a Griever finds Thomas and starts chasing him. Thomas runs as fast as he can, looking for a way to escape from the monster. In the midst of his escape, Thomas runs into Minho again. Seeing the maze walls about to close, Thomas uses the chance to trap the Griever and manages to kill it. Thomas and Minho return to the Glade with Elby.
They're not coming back.
Unfortunately, Thomas's actions in the maze lead to mixed reactions. Some members are upset because Thomas broke the rules by entering the maze even though he's not a runner. However, on the other hand, Elby was saved thanks to Thomas's daring actions. Also, Thomas becomes the first member to kill a Griever. Considering the situation, Newt, as the group's deputy leader, decides to give Thomas a mild punishment to prevent similar incidents in the future. In addition, Newt also allows Thomas to become a runner. After things calm down, Elby's group receives a new arrival from the elevator, and this time it's a woman. As soon as she wakes up, the woman named Teresa calls out Thomas's name as if they already know each other. Teresa is then taken to the medical room because she faints again after her arrival.
What's going on?
I'm the same way you did.
Really? Because she seemed to reckon.
A little later, Thomas and the runner team, led by Minho, examine the Griever that Thomas had killed earlier. During the examination, they find an electronic tube labeled WCKD. Thomas shows the tube to Newt, who is acting as the group's leader while Elby is recovering.
What the hell is that? Interesting. Okay, what? Yeah, we found this. Now, this is the first real clue. Newt, we gotta go back.
Thomas points out that the equipment sent through the elevator also has the same WCKD label, the tube from the Griever. From this, Thomas concludes that the organization that created the Grievers is the same one keeping them in the Glade. Thomas believes that the tube might be a clue to finding a way out of the Glade. Then Minho takes Thomas to a hidden room that only certain members can access. In this room, Minho shows a model of the maze that he has been mapping out for the past 3 years. The model reveals that the Glade is surrounded by the maze. Based on his experience exploring the maze, Minho concludes that the maze is divided into 8 sections. He also confirms that, while exploring the mapped maze, he hasn't found a way out of the Glade. After Thomas killed the Griever, Minho noticed that the previously closed wall Section 7 has suddenly opened. Minho suspects that Section 7 might hold the way out of the Glade. Sometime later, Thomas talks with Teresa, who has started to adjust to her new life in the Glade. Thomas informs Teresa that Elby's group is facing serious problems because, since Teresa arrived, the elevator hasn't been sending any equipment or new arrivals. Teresa shows to syringes labeled WCKD, containing a liquid she found in her pocket. Teresa doesn't know what the liquid does because she also doesn't remember her past before arriving at the Glade, just like the other group members. That night, Albie finally recovers from the Griever poison. However, Albie starts accusing Thomas of working with WCKD, the organization suspected of creating the Grievers and keeping the group in the Glade. Seeing Albie's increasingly aggressive behavior, Teresa decides to inject him with the WCKD liquid. After Albie's condition improves, Thomas and the others realize that the liquid is an antidote for the Griever poison. The next day, Thomas and Minho start exploring Section 7 of the maze as planned. Thanks to Minho's experience, they reach their goal relatively quickly. While examining Section 7, Thomas notices that the tube from the Griever's body is making a noise. The noise becomes clearer as Thomas approaches the area related to the tube. Using the noise from the tube, Thomas finds a corridor that leads to Griever tracks.
What?
No.
However, when Minho touches the corridor, the maze's entrance and all the walls start closing. Not wanting to be trapped, Thomas and Minho quickly run to escape. After overcoming several obstacles, they manage to return safely to the Glade. Although Albie has started to recover, he remains pessimistic because he believes WCKD won't let them out of the Glade easily. From his remaining memories, Albie thinks Thomas has an important role for WCKD. Albie's statement makes some group members doubt Thomas. When Albie's group questions Thomas's identity, they experience something unusual. The wall separating the Glade and the maze, which usually closes automatically at night, stays open. As a result, a swarm of Grievers from the maze can enter the Glade.
Teresa, come on.
Go!
Grievous?
Albie manages to save Chuck from a Griever attack that nearly pulled him away. However, soon after, another Griever attacks, putting Albie's life in danger. At the end, Albie asks Thomas to try to find a way to get their group out of the Glade. After the Grievers leave the Glade, Gally accuses Thomas of being a WCKD agent sent to destroy their group. To uncover the truth, Thomas decides to inject himself with Griever poison to recover his past memories.
Why are we doing this?
Thomas, wicked is good.
The next morning, Thomas recovers after Teresa gives him the antidote. Thomas begins to share his memories to explain to the group who he really is. He reveals that WCKD had trapped them in the Glade as part of an experiment. Surprisingly, Thomas and Teresa are actually part of WCKD and were involved in the experiment. Gally hears this and blames Thomas for all the problems their group has faced. After Albie's death from a Griever attack, the group that has been trapped in the Glade for 3 years splits into two factions with different goals. The first group, led by Gally, decides to stay in the Glade, believing it to be safer. The second group, led by Thomas, plans to explore the maze to find a way out. Unable to stop Thomas's decision, Glade finally lets him and his group go. Thomas's group begins their journey to Section 7 of the maze, hoping to find the corridor that might be the exit.
You take this.
Okay. Just stick with me.
As they get closer to their goal, Thomas tries to inspire and motivate his group. Since the corridor is a griever nest, Thomas's group immediately faces a swarm of grievers in the area. Teresa and Chuck manage to use the tube from the griever's body to open the corridor's door. Unfortunately, the corridor door can only be opened by entering the correct security code. Meanwhile, Thomas and his team have to fight hard against the grievers that have killed several of their group members. While fighting, Minho helps Teresa crack the door code. Thomas's group quickly heads for the door as the walls around them begin to close. During their escape, Thomas's group enters a WCKD laboratory. They find many dead scientists who seem to have been killed. They also realize that WCKD scientists have been watching them from the lab.
This whole time.
Ava, a female scientist, explains that if they are watching this video, they have successfully passed the maze test. Ava explains that the world has been devastated by a solar flare disaster, killing billions and causing widespread hunger. Worse, the solar flare also caused a dangerous virus called flare that attacks the brain. Ava reveals that there is still no cure for the flare virus. WCKD has been conducting survival experiments using Glade residents as subjects, trying to find a cure for the flare virus. At the end of the video, Ava mentions that WCKD was once a good organization before ending her life. Soon after, Glade appears with a gun and prevents Thomas's group from leaving the facility. Glade, who has been infected with griever poison, is acting aggressively and endangering his friends. To protect the group, Minho manages to subdue Glade. However, before dying, Glade shoots Chuck, Thomas's close friend. The shot kills Chuck, which deeply shocks Thomas. While Thomas is grieving Chuck's death, they are picked up by armed forces who seem to want to protect them. These forces take Thomas's group out of the WCKD facility and to another location. On the way, Thomas's group is shocked to see that the land has turned into a desert. Meanwhile, Ava is actually still alive, which means the video they watched was manipulated. In front of her colleagues, Ava expresses her satisfaction that many Glade residents managed to pass the maze test. Ava is ready to start the next phase of the experiment, and the film ends.